Imagine you're cruising down the highway at a perfectly constant speed of 70 miles per hour, just driving along smooth and steady. Now, ask yourself a question. Is that car actually in equilibrium? I bet a lot of you instinctively just said no way, right? I mean, the car is moving fast. We usually tend to think that equilibrium means an object is standing perfectly still, kind of like a book just resting on a desk. But the actual physics behind this might completely surprise you. By the end of this explainer, you're going to completely understand the exact conditions required for equilibrium, the math behind it, and why simply balancing your forces is actually sometimes not enough to keep an object from spinning wildly out of control. Section 1. The force illusion. Busting misconceptions. Okay, let's dive right into this and bust some of those common misconceptions about how forces interact with objects. We really need to define exactly what nature demands for a true state of balance. The absolute fundamental rule you need to memorize is that for any object to be in equilibrium, all external forces pushing or pulling on it must completely cancel each other out. Physicists call this the first condition for equilibrium, and it simply states that the net external force on the system must be zero. Written out as an equation, this super simple formula, net F equals zero, is literally the cornerstone of statics. And statics is just the study of forces in equilibrium. This equation basically means there is absolutely zero leftover unbalanced force in any direction. If you have 10 newtons of force pushing an object to the right, well, you must have exactly 10 newtons of force pushing it back to the left to cancel it out. To actually apply this formula practically in physics problems, we always break it down into our typical x and y coordinate axes. I mean, a horizontal force obviously can't cancel out a vertical force, right? So, step 1, we ensure the net force in the x direction is zero, meaning all those horizontal forces perfectly balance. Step 2, we do the exact same thing for the y direction. All vertical forces must add up to zero. Section 2, static versus dynamic. Two types of balance. So now that we've got the basic idea of net force being zero down, let's move to comparing two completely different ways this condition actually shows up in real life. Think about this comparison. On one hand, we have static equilibrium. Picture a motionless person standing perfectly still. The downward force of their weight from gravity is perfectly balanced by the upward support force of the floor pushing back. The forces add to zero, and there is zero motion. But then, on the other hand, we have dynamic equilibrium, which is exactly like that car moving at a constant velocity that we talked about at the very beginning. Now, you might be asking yourself, wait, why does a moving car achieve equilibrium? It's a really classic student question, mostly because it feels so counterintuitive that something moving that fast could possibly have a net force of zero. Shouldn't moving forward require some extra forward force? Well, here is the secret. Because the car's velocity is perfectly constant, there is zero acceleration. The forward applied force from the tires gripping the road is perfectly canceled out by air friction pushing back against the front of the car. And vertically, the weight of the car pulling down is perfectly supported by the normal forces pushing up equally on all four tires. The net external force in literally any direction is zero. It is moving rapidly, yes, for sure, but it is in dynamic equilibrium. Section 3, the hockey stick problem, breaking intuition. Okay, wait, hold on. This next part is really important. Let's look at a scenario that totally breaks our intuition about this formula. We're going to call this the hockey stick problem, and it's going to reveal a massive blind spot in what we've learned so far. We've established that the net force must be zero. But ask yourself this, if all the forces add up to zero, are we absolutely guaranteed that the object won't accelerate? Like, is that first condition enough all by itself to guarantee true equilibrium? Let's run a quick thought experiment. Step 1. Imagine an ice hockey stick lying flat on some completely frictionless ice. The downward gravity is perfectly balanced by the upward support of the ice. Step 2. We apply two equal and opposite horizontal forces right to the exact center of the stick. Because the forces are equal and opposite, net F equals zero, the stick just stays put. It's completely motionless. We have successfully achieved static equilibrium. But watch closely what happens if we change just one tiny variable. Take those exact same equal and opposite forces, but this time apply them at totally different points on the stick. Let's say one force pushes the top handle to the right, and the identical opposite force pushes the bottom blade to the left. The forces still add up to exactly zero, right? Net F is still mathematically zero. But suddenly, the stick starts spinning faster and faster. It experiences accelerated rotation. And this brilliantly illustrates a really massive loophole. Our math shows a net force of 0, meaning the stick isn't sliding left or right across the ice at all. But because the stick has rotational acceleration, it is fundamentally not in equilibrium. Remember, true equilibrium is defined as motion without linear or rotational acceleration.
So here is the crucial takeaway. The first condition, having a net external force of 0, is strictly necessary to achieve equilibrium, but it is not sufficient on its own. The actual point at which a force is applied is another major determining factor. If the forces are applied in offset positions, they're going to cause the object to rotate, instantly breaking your equilibrium. Section 4. Summary and next steps. Wrapping up.
Before we wrap this up, let's quickly summarize the key points. You can lock this entirely into your memory. We've seen that statics is just the study of forces in equilibrium. To be in equilibrium, you absolutely must satisfy the first condition, 0 net force across all axes, meaning net Fx and net Fy both equal 0. This rule brilliantly applies to both still objects in static equilibrium and steadily moving objects in dynamic equilibrium. And finally, we discovered that where you apply the force literally changes everything, because a net force of 0 doesn't guarantee equilibrium if those forces trigger rotation. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating cliffhanger. If pushing a hockey stick at different points causes a spin, even with 0 net force, how do physicists actually solve the rotation problem? Like, what is the missing mathematical puzzle piece that stops the spinning? And what exactly is torque? Well, that is exactly what we are going to uncover next when we explore this second condition for equilibrium. Until then, keep analyzing the